Hello and welcome to the A&A Coffeehouse. Go ahead and have a seat wherever you like. Adam and Anthony will be with you shortly. While you wait, please enjoy a cup of our delicious coffee. As always, we have Colombian, cappuccino, espresso, and Americano. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and tune in.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the A&A Coffeehouse podcast. I'm your host, Adam Kincaid. Sitting across from me, eating a bloody-looking red cookie, is Anthony DeFranco.
Hello, everybody.
Sitting to my right, devouring a salad, is our producer, Ariel Ayers. And off to my left, devouring a small child, is Alvaro Gutierrez Valladares, our reoccurring guest host.
Say hi, Alvaro.
I'm busy devouring a small child.
We're teachers, it's what we do.
Eh?
Right. Before we start, I want to let everyone know that getting this podcast onto iTunes has been a real bitch, and we're all doing extra
struggle.
work.
It has been a great struggle.
It's been a bitch.
It's been a bitch.
And our editor is, I'm showrunner, Ariel is the producer, and Anthony is the editor. He's had to edit a bunch of episodes. He's currently having to edit a bunch of episodes at once.
Yes.
We're dropping a giant pile of work on top of him.
Lost episodes. There are going to be some lost episodes coming up there too soon.
Alvaro has a way of showing our appreciation.
Yes. In recognition of the extra hours that you're having put in, Adam and I thought to give you a terrible gift. 100 of the cheesiest movies in history.
Wow, thank you.
100 of the worst movies produced between the 1970s and the 1990s.
Wow, that's awesome. Thanks.
I mean, that's one way to say it. I actually say I'm condemning you to wasting very many hours when you're
after
now
we're
putting
done.
them into working for the podcast.
You can just watch the movies while editing.
Didn't we watch some some movie that I remember going to your house years ago watching a whole bunch of horror films from the 70s.
I got a collection of the 100 worst horror movies of all time.
Oh wow!
We watched several of
we
those.
thought they were actually going to be horror films, right? But instead, they turned out to be 70s pornos.
Oh dear, yeah, that's different.
It was actually
It's a
horror,
bad horror
but one of
movie.
them was the original Last House on the Left. And it's been remade recently into a more typical horror movie, but it's about in the original movie it follows some people who go home and then they go upstairs and then take a shower and it follows a long lengthy shower
sometimes
scene.
These terrible movies
Lots
are
of
the
sex.
best things to see with your friends. There's an entire show that they used to put on the Sci-Fi Channel where you have the robot, the monsters, or something else in a spaceship watching bad movies and commenting at the whole
Mystery
time.
Science Theater.
Oh,
That's the one.
Yeah,
Mystery
that was
Science Theater.
Great show.
So much fun and so much fun to do. So I hope we'll be able to laugh and mock some of these movies.
All right. So our first topic. So, what is topic number 1? Spaniard, take it.
Topic number 1 are the primaries, both Republican and Democrat.
Oh yeah, there's 2 of them.
Yeah,
There's 2 of them?
Do you have?
Yeah.
Sometimes they all sound the same, don't they?
The red states and the green states.
But isn't there a
Orange.
pink state and
Pink?
then a blue state?
You know,
and a
green-
yellow
Blue
state.
You notice these 2 are totally representative. Alvaro's wearing all red and an American flag, and Tony's wearing all blue.
It's not an American
This isn't
flag.
an American flag. It just happens
red
to
and white
have red and
stripes.
white stripes.
It's not even stripes, they're
Tucked
boxes.
into your blue speckled collar,
I don't have a blue speckled collar.
It's called plaid.
which is also red, white, and blue.
Adam, why are you picking on Alvaro's outfit? If you're going to pick on him, call him Freddy Krueger and let it be.
I'm just saying Alvaro's extraordinarily Republican in appearance right now, and Tony's very, very Democratic. Look at him.
Oh.
Wearing all blues, lots of facial hair,
Why is that Democratic?
sitting next to
Alvaro has equally as much facial hair.
piece of technology.
President Kennedy, and I propose.
Yes, mine is very Republican facial hair, apparently.
Well, you got to do your good
You're
Republican
Spanish.
impression while I do it.
And you were born in
really
Mexico.
bad Democrat impression.
How would he be Republican?
Let's actually talk about the topics instead.
Yes, that'll work.
Oh yeah, there's a topic too.
We have a topic that we
What?
need to do before we go to the moon.
So,
That is all.
Wow.
the Republican debate just happened. How did it go? How was it on the scale of debates? Where was it on the bar graph between fantastic and wonderful.
Well, what about fantasy? Don't you want to add like a category of fantasy in there?
I want to switch this up really
That's
quick.
fantastic.
Instead of Adam asking us, let's ask Adam.
Yes.
So everything you just said, Adam, how did the debate go?
From
How was
fantastic to
from
wonderful.
fantastic to wonderful.
Lots of the fantastic.
Okay, from
Lots of the
interesting
fantastic.
to Republican debate. How was it?
Then the fantastic one works. There was lots of the fantastic. People making stuff up, people citing statistics that didn't exist. Once
They
again,
were doing a lot of citing. They're mostly
It's just
blustering and stuff.
opinions,
Yeah,
pretty
see?
much. Yeah.
but a lot of them are opinions based as facts. Well, you know what's true. This is true. It's an opinion. And people go, oh, that's a nice fact.
It's not a fact. Let's be clear.
Well, let's be specific, because that seems like a very vague thing to say about them. What did they say that you find offensively vague or
Or non-factual. Yes.
The big takeaway from the Republican debate was the fact that Donald Trump actually got somewhat hurt by Ted Cruz. And now a lot of the talking heads on TV that continually say Trump can't survive and Trump is going down are once again saying that Trump can't survive and Trump is going down.
But he keeps going up.
But they think that he may have actually found his weakness in Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
They think
that's why
Ted
he's-
Cruz
Who's
might be the
essentially
David to Trump's
same
Goliath.
person.
Yeah, that's why he's
It's
going
the
up.
same person, only somewhat more palatable.
Yeah.
By which I mean votable.
Donald Trump's
they-
worst enemy
Okay.
is Donald Trump.
I was going to say,
Dun.
I'm glad
He
you
used to like
specified.
himself.
I'm glad you specified that by palatable you mean electable.
Yes, no.
Because Cruz might
Is
actually win.
about as bad
I think Cruz is worse. I think Cruz is significantly worse than Trump.
in that he can win.
And just his policies. If we were going to have a President Trump
I
versus
like
a President
where you're
Cruz, I would take the President Trump.
The thing is that Trump and Cruz, though,
Sorry.
they are kind of the same, but they are also kind of different. But the same thing is that they want to repeal Obamacare, but they don't want to replace it. They just want to repeal the whole thing.
Mhm.
It's like there is some stuff that both parties can agree on that isn't great because Pelosi pushed it all all through.
In the debate,
Yeah.
the war cry did become repeal and replace. They didn't say what with,
Mhm.
but they are now getting that
They're now
mantra.
saying
We need to
replace.
repeal and replace Obamacare.
Although
wow.
when a lot of them
But
were,
they don't mention
a lot of
it.
the candidates were interviewed, and they all, not all, that's not fair. Most of them, a great majority, said that they would just rip it up, burn it.
Yeah, and that's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
They think we were
Definitely,
better
but-
where we were before.
But very few
But now
of
they're
them, will go on and say that the situation before the Affordable Care Act was passed is ideal.
oh no,
And if they did, they would find the opposition of most Americans who, actually were alive at that point still. I mean, except the 4-year-old.
right. But I mean,
have.
it's statements like that anyway, like the burn it, just get rid of it, is like what you were saying in last episode, is the gut reaction. That's all it is they're just throwing it out because, yes, it feels good. Yes, let's just tear down the system.
Which seems to be a common thread in the Republican debates. The frontrunners all going with that gut reaction and fomenting it. And some of what would have been the main line before, the people who you would expect to get the nomination, people like Bush or Rubio, saying, yeah, I understand the anger, I understand where it's coming from, but you need a steady hand. You need someone with a cooler head.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why they,
Aren't doing very well.
exactly. Because people kind of want the gut reaction. It just looks better.
Yeah,
Not like better like in a good way, but I mean, it looks better, it's more exciting, it's cinematic.
Mm-hmm. That's what
Not only that, I think we do them a disservice in saying that that's the only thing that's going on. If it were it's about the same people who have been electing Republicans for so very long. But they're tired of those who are a little bit more moderate in their speech because they have consistently been let down by them.
Only then they also think it's because you're moderate, you're politically correct, then some of the dumb far-right extremists immediately call them liberals just because they are moderates. And it's like, no, they're actually smart people, and they actually agree that with the liberals on some points. Like, for example, Sarah Palin's a fucking idiot.
Oh, that's what I was saying earlier.
Which is off
That's
topic,
a good
but-
segue. Not off topic at all.
Yeah.
Because
Did you see the U.S. Weekly, I think, we'll actually check in a couple of minutes. One of the big newspapers, I think it's U.S. Weekly, front cover of their paper has the story about Sarah Palin endorsing Donald Trump. And the headline shows a picture of the two of them, and the headline of the big major paper is, "I'm with stupid."
Yeah, it's like stupid just endorsed stupid. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
And all of no one has been surprised by this. I don't think this is going to change very much at all.
Yeah. The thing is, though, McCain lost. One reason he lost was because he picked Palin for his VP. That's one of the reasons out of, like, two more reasons I can mention why he lost. But the thing is, it's like, why is Donald Trump... I understand he's trying to pander to the extreme right to get the votes, right? But doesn't he remember that Palin was the reason why one of the reasons why McCain lost?
But what you say is interesting. You mentioned he panders to the extreme right because
she's still a very popular celebrity amongst the extreme right.
Oh, right. But I mean about Donald Trump himself, and this is something that came up in the debate. He himself has not very long been a member of that political persuasion.
Yeah.
He has been in favor of abortion, at least somewhat lukewarm about gay marriage. Very, very, very on social issues. Very far
he
to the
left.
left.
He was pro the bailouts
until now
on TV. Yeah, until now.
That's part of 2007.
And everyone knows
2007.
Doesn't seem to care.
Positions are wildly opposite.
But Cruz has attacked him for this, saying he has New York values. In one of the more
Trump's comeback was awesome.
Yeah.
Which was what?
I have to Trump's comeback, which was talk about New York values. It's pretty much he went back at Cruz and said that it was New York values is what you saw in 9/11, where pretty much I'm just paraphrasing because I don't got the exact quote in front of me. But we all came together and we all helped each other out and, help your fellow man. Something like that.
It was the right thing to say. Sure.
Speaking of New York, it's the New York Daily News. The front cover of the New York Daily News is "I'm with stupid."
Yeah.
No.
Not U.S. Weekly at all.
But New York, though, tends to be... I can see Cruz's point of view because New York is, a liberal city.
Yeah, and to a degree, what Trump did was completely sidestep the issue.
Yeah,
he was saying that Trump does not follow the beliefs on social issues that most Republicans who are voting for him do, however much he might pander to them now. And what Trump did was essentially what Lois does in Family Guy: go up on stage and someone say 9/11. Yes.
Yep.
But really, as far as the debate goes, that was a good way to do it.
All right. We've heard a lot about the Republicans lately. I think we're all tired of the Republicans at the moment. The Democratic debates also happened. We had dinner over at Anthony's house. He made us some lovely pizza and coffee and cheesecake and canned mango juice.
I didn't make it. The pizza I baked, but it was from Take and Bake Place.
Leftover children.
Yes.
But it was fantastic. We went to Tony's house and ate and watched the debate on his TV.
Yeah.
So, the Democratic debate, how did that go?
It went okay. It's like if from the Republican debates, it's just the same old things being repeated. Again, just trying to go for like base points. That was pretty much it. That's all I got from it. I was just falling to sleep just as much as I was watching from the Republican debate as I was doing with the Democrat debate.
What's interesting is to see the way they're being presented. They're really designing the Democratic debate as a counterpoint visually to the Republican debate, which, they all started first, and everyone really looks on them as a circus, which is why they've had such high viewer ratings so far. I think that if I heard substantive debate one more time by the presenters, I might be saying that the Democratic National Committee had something to do with writing their comments. This is a very clear attempt to make sure that you see the Republicans as this, as what they're being, a circus of people who are just yelling at each other and throwing, whereas the Democrats are actually talking about issues, talking about their positions.
Yeah. But they were kind of just repeating the issues over and over again, the same issues, just like how the Republicans were, which were kind of like like a snore. It's like, okay, because every single debate, it's pretty much the same thing. Then Bernie and Hillary go at it while O'Malley is just trying to, he's like, hello, I'm over here.
Yeah. Why is O'Malley still in the debate? Why is he still in the
I just honestly don't fucking know.
He's not pulling anyone in any direction, like Bernie is, regardless of whether he wins or has a chance of winning. He's not polling.
My guess is optics. I mean, you don't want a debate that looks like the Republican debate. They've been in fact trying to fix the optics there as well. Having 10 people on a stage just yelling at each other, it doesn't really you don't follow their positions. It's not.
That's
not,
why
not
they limited it to
convincing.
6.
But if you only have 2, then you have a different problem. You have one party showing a lively debate and being a picture of democracy, and the other just having the two candidates, which is a little less convincing. So O'Malley is partly there to give credence to the Democratic primaries as a process, and partly they're running for vice president.
There we go. Mm-hmm. I like you were saying, looking at the optics of the debate. We were laughing about during several of the commercial breaks. They would come on and show a little clip show of Hillary Clinton played to music, and then big words, Hillary Clinton. And then show a little clip show of Bernie Sanders played to different music, and then Bernie Sanders. On to the next thing. O'Malley didn't get a clip show at any point.
He did get some. I did watch it. He did get some.
The little name things where it was like a character coming out for a fight in a video game or something. He didn't get one of those.
Oh, I
they
kept
know. Playing Hillary's and Bernie's.
On YouTube, perhaps the ones that they put there were different, but I certainly did see some.
It'd be funny if it was like a football game where you had that little guy that you see on Fox dancing around on the side with a football.
Oh, dear.
They have like some politician coming out getting drunk.
Jim Webb.
Yeah, that'll work. Jim Webb is coming out.
Oh, no.
Dancing. And then below it says, next one says, don't forget to vote. That'd be pretty funny.
All right. What is topic number 2? Anthony, tell us what we're discussing.
New college admission standards.
All right. Did anybody... what are the new standards that some of the colleges are talking about implementing and that Harvard has already done?
Well, I don't know exactly. What I have seen is that the SAT people started being worried about their rival tests getting up to bite them, and they've presented these new standards, and that's caused people to wonder a bit more. Say, I don't want my students to be the guinea pig, and even more people have gone massively to the other tests. But it seems to be that there's more to it.
Yeah, isn't it also some of the new standards that obviously we know by looking at just, for example, community college, raising the tuition even higher than the last year, which was that was the standard for that year.
That's separate than admission, but yes, that is true.
Yeah,
actually, Adam and I found out recently that this is not on topic, but just responding to that
it's
is that
to the topic.
Yeah, in the past 30 years since 1985. Tuition has raised 500%.
That's incredible.
It's awful.
It's like
I can't
Monterey.
Tuition is going to 500%.
Incredible in the literal sense that I can hardly believe it. Not that, oh, great.
Yeah, no, it's unimaginable. It's an unfathomable change. You go from this amount and then 500 times. That's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
I was recently speaking to a high school teacher that Adam and I both know. And saying, I don't understand how Europe isn't flooded with American students right now.
Oh, you were telling me this too.
I mean, there you have some places where it's cheap. In Spain, you can have your full year of college, the 2 semesters, for about €1,000. In some places, it's free. In some places, they pay you because it's an investment on the part of the government and the future of the people and of the country itself. I don't know how people stay here. It's cheaper to go abroad and better for your curriculum.
Yeah, we are not known for our amazing education system at the moment.
The education system sucks. Can we say that as teachers? Just, it sucks.
Especially community college, right now, like especially the prices that are going up in community college.
They're going up
just
everywhere.
signed up for classes very, very, very recently. Cough, cough. Yesterday. And it came out to about $400 for 3 classes.
Wow.
And they're only 3-unit classes. So 9 units for $900 at a community college.
Which is, that's expensive. I remember, a year or two ago, it was like $25 a unit.
Yep. Adam thought it was going to be
College.
$40. It wasn't.
900.
Yeah. No, 400.
400.
400. Oh.
If it was 9, I would not. I would move to Spain, Alvaro. I would.
I hope tuitions go up a little bit more.
Shut up.
Just a little bit more.
Tony, back on topic. Admissions? Do you want? Can we?
One more thing on
yeah.
that. I'm sure I've told both of you. Alvaro, did you hear what San Jose State University was doing?
I have not.
No.
San Jose State University, you know how it costs more for out-of-state college people? If you go to school, if you live in California, you go to a California school, you pay less than someone from Colorado would pay to go to a California school.
Yeah, and I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, so out-of-state students pay more.
Yes.
So San Jose State University banned all California students.
What?
San Jose State University is no longer taking in-state students.
How is that?
That's nuts.
Is that legal?
It's a public university.
Yeah, it's just
I think Ariel makes a point. Do they have the authority
Okay,
to do this?
They couldn't ban. They have closed enrollment to all in-state students.
That is the worst.
Right, so they
thing
banned them.
ever.
Now,
Everybody is owed a right to an education. Isn't that human rights?
Well,
regardless of...
It's not.
regardless
For
of
college, it's not.
Should be.
I mean,
Yeah.
yes, it should be.
Could be.
So
Yes, it should be.
At
Where
least the
that's a thing.
access to it.
Yes.
But
Well,
because
not
you're
at San
paying
Jose.
for it, they can block who they accept and who they deny. It's-
Yeah, so they are no longer
Wow.
accepting admissions from in-state students.
I applied to San Jose State and I got in, and I'm so ashamed now.
Yeah.
Not recently. This is years ago, high school.
Hmm.
Speaking of, so I'm going to speak from the heart here for a moment. Getting into college was ridiculous. Yeah, I took 3 AP classes, and I did all the honors classes from freshman year to senior year. I had to do 90 hours of community service per, year or something. It's just something outrageous, Or no, it's 180 hours, which was easy because I do a
They
bunch.
made you a productive citizen?
Yeah.
Ew.
Ugh. But I got that done easy, but it has to be documented hours. It's very meticulous, tedious. You have to be in sports. You have to be really good at the sports. You have to get the best grades. You have to be number 1, top of your class. And that's never usually enough, not to name any schools, but places like, I don't know.
Come on, name
Harvard.
names.
Hello. Hello, Harvard. This is the one I'm about to talk about.
Oh.
Make it so impossible for kids to go to school. Even UC Davis, they accepted, they turned away 400,000 applicants the year I was graduating and applying to college. 400,000 kids, just, nope, sorry.
Wow.
And some of them were people I knew that were 3rd and 4th in the class of my
But
senior
how many
graduating
people
class.
can they accept?
I don't know what the number is, but it was a crazy amount of kids. They're only taking the very top icing. You have to be the best at everything.
But to a degree, is that avoidable? I mean, for instance, in Spain, we have a very good educational system. Money is not
Show
really the... Oh, absolutely.
I'm okay with that one.
Money isn't the primary concern for people who want to go to college. But, for instance, with medicine, you have to have such good grades to get into medicine because of how many people want in and how important it is. That you have people who are incredibly intelligent, the top of their class, taking and retaking the entrance exam in order to finally get in. And sometimes they can't, and then they go in through, nursing or through pharmacy, which are also college careers. So, sometimes you can't really do anything else. You have a limited number of students you can have in. And there has to be criteria.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
But the criteria was so narrow. The example that this article gives right here, it lists a girl who
she's thrown herself into her work for the full 4 years. She took AP classes. She studied for the SAT, worked on the school paper, played on field hockey, and tutored elementary school kids. And there were like 10 blank spaces where she could have had more activities. It still wasn't enough. She had 5 different extracurricular activities that she was doing, and it wasn't enough. There were 10 other spaces. And then 15 different AP slots, and what she had done wasn't enough.
That's the thing with highly competitive schools. I mean, in England, Oxbridge, getting into either one of those schools is really, really difficult because people from all over the world want to get in. And it's the same thing with Harvard. Well,
it was. Harvard is now,
it's not new application standards.
To get into college, Harvard report...
Admission standards.
Yeah. Harvard report advocates for kindness instead of overachieving.
How do they rate people's kindness? For
example,
if you're an a-hole in the interview, they're going to say, fuck you. You're not
For example, you know how they look at GPAs and stuff like that? Well, what if you have a really, really good GPA because you told your sick family, hey, fuck you guys, I need to go to school? And just abandon your family. What if Alvaro has a fairly bad GPA because he couldn't spend all the time doing school, even though he's super smart and a super good student, because he was babysitting his 3 younger siblings so his mom could go work 4 jobs so he could keep his family in an apartment? So we're just going to screw Alvaro over when it comes to college because he can't get in because he was doing all that? Harvard's planning to look at that now. Harvard's planning to say, his GPA is not as good, but he's been keeping his family in an apartment building, working 3 jobs, babysitting in his free time so his mom can work extra jobs. We're going to count that towards his application too.
And give him a loan, because people in that situation aren't really going to be able to pay for a Harvard education, are they?
Doesn't say anything about that. No.
Well, no, but, I mean, people that do make the time for school, or that are still in that situation, they apply for grants and scholarships, and there's ways around it. The important thing here is it's not about being the asshat that spent 24/7 doing all of the work and blowing off everything else. And participation is good, but there's a difference between being good at something and being involved in your school and your community. That's one thing. Getting into college these days is the most ridiculous thing. It is such a frantic, I'm never going to be good enough. Like, I know people that are horribly depressed because they didn't do well enough to get into the college they wanted. You know what I mean? Like, it's that intense.
But then again, I also
school.
know some people, not very many, but some people who actually did study in Harvard and these schools. And they're not complete asshats. They're actually quite
I wasn't calling
nice.
Harvard
students
asshats.
You know what?
They worked their asses off in order to get there, and deserve it to a degree.
But they also deserve it.
Deserve something.
Yes.
So if it's a move in order to also take these things into account,
yes, you'll notice we didn't ban Tony being a dick from the school. We just gave you equal footing.
Am I a big giant dick walking around rubbing my shaft? You know?
Oh dear. Let's not.
Just because we're talking about college doesn't mean that you have to act like you're in college.
Sure. He's a mascot for safe sex.
You say that I was a dick, so I
no.
Like a dick.
Metaphor over.
An impression.
Now. Gosh.
What were you saying, Albert?
Sorry. Yeah. What were you saying?
As we said when we spoke about affirmative action, if that episode ever actually got on air, it necessarily does mean...
Yet. We're missing that episode too.
Which episode?
Okay, wait.
We'll get to that.
Adam.
If and when that ever actually makes it to the air, you'll see that we mentioned that it does necessarily mean that some of the people who were previously admitted won't be. So some version of the tone he described won't be able to get in. So yes, it means that. And you know what? It might even be a good thing. But as long as the admission standard is done in a way that's reasonable and doesn't just completely eliminate from the criteria the academic achievement of people.
And it shouldn't. It is getting into college, but it's allowing for brilliant people to get into school even though they can't go to school every day. Or like a lot of our students... I'm going to delete that. Like a lot of kids we know, like a lot of kids we know, their parents don't take them to school
they'll make them. Why?
Sorry, there was a bug on the table.
Whose parents there?
There are a lot of kids whose parents just don't take them to school. They have to go to work, or their kids' education isn't their priority. There's all sorts of reasons for kids to not be able to get to school. Maybe they don't have a car and they have to take the bus or a taxi or something.
Does California still have that law? I don't know if it was just California alone, but other states where they judge people's test scores also if they're minorities or something like that, where though you're a minority who has like a 2-point something while you're
I don't think they do.
Just to make the quotas.
Remember, that's what we talked about in the Supreme Court episode. We had an episode where we talked about Supreme Court cases, including this. That episode's not online. They said the one's missing.
Oh, okay.
That was what they were deciding. Remember that they were debating whether or not they can still do affirmative action when it comes to college.
Yeah, like now if they're doing it something like this, where they're they're not judging students now by their education and their merit, right
Not
now.
exclusively.
Exclusively.
Yeah, well, in fact, they have rules. They came up with a 5-step plan. Their first step is they want to reduce stress by limiting course loads and extracurricular activities.
Which is fair. No, that's good.
So they're saying that
These are
long...
highly competitive colleges.
They're
it's
saying that...
normal that it'd be stressful to get in.
They're saying that long brag sheets when you come in with your big list of accomplishments should not help. They want to stop people getting those long brag sheets. If you come in with, I've done this and that and that and this and that and that, and you've been stressed out for years doing it, you shouldn't need that.
You should not have to be that over-accomplished.
Before
you're 18, you don't even know how to pay the bills yet, and you're having to learn how to play 7 different instruments and do every sport.
It's not necessary to go to Harvard in order to succeed.
There's saying
other
that
colleges that you don't need.
But I'm not just talking about Harvard. Is other schools required?
So coming in with
this is for Harvard. That's what I'm saying. Wait, pause. Before you go, I have to explain this to you so you don't think I'm saying this differently. I'm not talking about Harvard for that. I'm saying for just colleges, getting into certain colleges, like UC Davis. That is not a highly competitive school like Harvard. It is not. It's a UC, It's not like any less. But Harvard is a pretty tip-top, uppity school, right? Harvard,
some
Oxford.
UCs, but
yes.
That's beside the point.
But schools like UC Davis or... what's another one? I don't know. I don't know. Even like UC Santa Barbara. San Diego, schools like that, you have to have a ridiculous brag sheet in order to get in. And it's not necessary because kids are killing themselves just to get all of these ridiculous things that they don't care about. They don't care about having these things. Go.
So yes, these are the things that Harvard has already implemented and a bunch of other schools will be doing soon. So they're trying to get this, but Harvard has already put this in.
The list of 5 rules.
So back to number 1. So they're saying you should not have a long list of brag sheets. Number 2 of their 5 rules is they want to value the different ways that students make contributions to their families and communities. The next one is alleviate test pressure. They are de-emphasizing the value of SATs and the ACTs and making these optional entirely.
Yes.
They're irrelevant, quite frankly.
Back to our overarching opinion as a group, the school system sucks in America.
Yes.
We agree
Bam!
on so much.
And number 5, the last one, is they need to engage in meaningful community service.
I don't know. I mean, saying meaningful, like you said, is vague. But, yay!
They're saying that right now you get bonuses for going into college for community service, such as big, high-profile causes that are largely irrelevant. You don't do anything,
I suppose that the
or
reason
traveling
they say
to
meaningful-
foreign and exotic countries. Taking a year off in France gives you things for community service.
Does it really?
Yes.
That's
Really?
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So going on
If you
vacation,
go to Europe, if you do
community service.
exchange in a different country, that gets you all your community service points right there.
I assume the meaningful bit, which should, by the way, take out the Euro trip, is there so that you can't say, "Oh no, I caddied."
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
And this is the vaguest of all of
golf,
them.
so
This is the vaguest of all of them. There's really no follow-up sentences to it.
Which is fine, because
meaningful
it's
community
pretty
service.
straightforward.
Yes.
Serve your community. That's pretty
Yeah.
straightforward. You don't need to add things. In fact, adding things sometimes makes it vaguer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I actually like all of those points. I do think that they should flesh them out better. I agree with you on the vagueness. I do. But I do agree that this is a much better system if they actually put it in a way that allows for it to work, rather than what's going on right now, which is kids killing themselves over how stupid it is. It's ridiculously
stressful.
Speaking of American students, did you guys see the poll they just took? Asking students a bunch of different questions, including about Judge Judy?
I did see something briefly on the news where some people thought Judge Judy was a court justice or something like that.
10% of Americans polled thought Judge Judy was on the Supreme Court.
Oh my god.
Wow.
And 11% of Americans polled couldn't find the Pacific Ocean on a map.
Yeah, this is the thing that sucks. That our educational system really isn't helping.
I don't even think I knew who Judge Judy was until I was in high school.
She's a Supreme Court justice.
No, Adam, stop it. You are a history teacher. You know better.
She lives in the Pacific Ocean.
You remember
I'm
just north
gonna
of
pull
Michigan.
our students
Remember
so that I
Jay
can
Leno?
rub it in your face.
Remember Jay Leno used to do jaywalking?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love jaywalking.
Yeah, that was so awesome when you see how these students are just so stupid.
So Judge Judy was appointed as Chief Justice by President Bartlett?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Topic number 3.
All right. So, topic number 3 is Iran, that country that everyone used to mistake for Iraq before we bombed one of them. So, what is happening in Iran?
Implementation Day came and passed, and now the sanctions have been lifted. Or as the Republican primary candidates would say, the U.S. is giving mountains of money to Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Not really.
It's,
Just by the way.
He's a
In
billionaire or
fact,
something.
interestingly enough, and actually for me quite surprising, the Iranian economy hasn't reacted. It's been pretty much the same. I'm told that we aren't going to be seeing much of an effect on the day-to-day economy in Iran until quite a few years pass.
Oh yeah, because it takes at least a couple of years for all businesses to get approved, go in there. Businesses all over the world.
That's why I ignored this
just to
story.
try to,
Quite a while ago,
try to
when they were
be-
talking about it, they said don't expect changes to go into effect for a couple of years after it's lifted.
Well, but that's why
So-
it's worth mentioning. There were a lot of people who joined me in being idiots and thinking that this was going to make a huge short-term difference. You have a lot of people just speculating as to what that'll do to the region, making a country that's in such a regional strife with Saudi Arabia suddenly more rich and powerful. But no, that's just not the case.
It's like with Cuba. This is off the topic of Iran for a moment. People are thinking now, oh, money's going to come in like crazy in Cuba since we now are talking to them again.
Well, although it's
And
different
stuff
with
like
Cuba,
that.
it actually might affect Cuba a lot sooner because Cuba's a tiny country
Oh, yeah, it's
and
closer.
literally right next to us.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
true.
Whereas in Iran, right now, it's basically affecting people who are already filthy rich, and now they can move around their money more easily.
Yeah.
But the economy in Iran had to adapt to the sanctions. They've had sanctions for a very long time. And
Yeah.
so it'll take a while for it to rejoin the world economy.
Well, not as long as Cuba.
Not as long as Cuba.
I think Cuba will
Because
be more
it's not
interesting to
as
see in that one for
big, yes.
multiple reasons.
Yeah,
It'll be
probably about
fast forward, and it's
3
a
years
longer
at least. Yeah.
period with sanctions.
And certainly the Iranians weren't as naive as I. They seem to have known perfectly well that this is going to be the case, and no one has been surprised one way or the other. In fact, the implementation day of the lifting of the sanction was met by a general shrug. People really didn't seem to care one way or the other.
Yeah.
But hey, no shouting death to America, so that's a bonus.
Well, in fact,
Yeah.
one of the other big pieces of it, one of the other big important things that just happened, is prisoners. Iran has had a number of our prisoners, of our people, Americans, prisoner for quite some time, and they just did a negotiation with Obama and got 5 Americans who have been held in Iran freed. And they would just return back to Germany.
Now,
where
was this
they will be for
reciprocal?
a while
Were there
talking about.
Iranian prisoners in
Don't
American
think so.
jails free?
Yeah, we let a couple Iranian prisoners free, but then we also canceled the warrants or something through Interpol.
That's what it was.
That we had against other people.
It was a
So it
prisoner
was a
swap.
quid pro quo.
It was a prisoner swap, but we didn't equal 1 for 1.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much they got 7 and we got 5.
But it certainly is a show of good faith, which leads me to repeat the question which I have said in an episode which may or may not have appeared already. Why do we prefer Saudi Arabia to Iran?
We shouldn't.
The oil.
Yes.
That's pretty much it.
Fair enough, yeah.
They keep oil prices at a good price that keeps the economy going.
They don't now.
Except for
now
right
it's their
now.
new strategy. And it's a good thing. Right now, I approve of their strategy.
For the average person who doesn't have stocks.
Well, that's also Iran, too.
401k.
Iran's a big part of OPEC. So,
Yeah.
Iran's also no opportunity. So, once again, why do we prefer Saudi Arabia to Iran? So here's a coffee bean. There's this woman married for 14 years to her husband, and she finds out that she has been cheating on him with another woman, her best friend, and her best friend is pregnant. Now she's very angry, so angry that she, who was a biologist of some kind, someone with access to a lot of different chemicals, decides to lace different parts of her former best friend's home with arsenic-based powder. Now, her friend notices and calls the police. And the police goes, checks out the powder, finds out it's not cocaine, and does no further diligence at all.
wow.
This happens over and over. Every now and again, every now and then, she finds this thing, this strange substance on her doorknob, on her car, the door handle for her car, on the mailbox. And eventually she gets this idea. Instead of calling the police, which is doing nothing, she'll call the post office. The post office sent their investigation team, found out that it was poison, and so the federal government charges her. But since attempted murder is purview of the state, it charges her under the Chemical Warfare Treaty, the international treaty banning chemical warfare. Because it's very vaguely worded. All it says is that anyone who uses chemicals for non-peaceful purposes falls under its purview. So why would that not include her? And that's where they went after her. Eventually, this had to go to the Supreme Court. And it's the Supreme Court looking at this particular case, which decided not that the government can't apply an international treaty to an individual. That's not what they decided, because they can. They decided that she just wasn't in breach of this particular treaty. Just as a side note for those of you who are just enthralled at the story of starstruck lovers, they stayed together.
Oh.
And the best friend has had to flee and change her name.
Oh my god.
Oh, wow.
So she had her house arsenicked, and there was no repercussion for it?
Nope.
By anyone?
Well, there was almost a repercussion. I mean, there was an investigation. She was in jail for a short period of time, but she was actually out in time to hear, if she wanted to, the decision by the Supreme Court. and now, she's had to flee.
Does this herald a new era of open season on chemical weaponing each other?
Oh god.
Well, I am sure it isn't, unless you live in that particular state.
There's an epidemic of arsenic in your house. I just like using
Chlorine
arsenic
gas.
as a verb.
I'm going to find out the state.
Oh yeah. We can cut this.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
So Philadelphia already has a pretty high homicide rate. You're just adding another method.
Right.
It's not that bad.
No. And she was fine.
Well, she burnt a finger.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I'm that's not a good thing.
No.
But certainly a far sight better than death.
I agree.
There's a little difference there.
And that's my coffee bean.
I love it. Who's next? I'm ready.
Alright.
Whoever wants to go.
Up next, Ariel Ayers.
Okay, I have a small little itty bitty tidbit. I'm gonna go back. I have a small itty bitty little coffee bean. It was under the cash register, super tiny.
So, you know how they put goats in the tiger cages at zoos to feed them?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Did you guys hear about the goat that befriended the tiger?
You're kidding me.
Not at all. I guess there's a video, but for some reason there's 3 swimmers on the video instead, so it's not the video that I clicked on to show you guys, so I'll have
Maybe
to
that's
find
how
it.
the goat befriended him, disguised himself as a swimmer.
There's
And the
3
tiger
of
followed
them.
along.
So what was the
So
tiger
anyway.
just not very hungry?
So the way that tigers works, it's they don't attack something that presents danger, and they're calling it a feisty goat. So I think that the goat is dominant enough that the tiger's like, oh, well, you can't be food, so it's just not eating it, and it's hanging out in the habitat, just chilling out with his tiger friend, and it's
Are they
this little.
feeding it other goats though?
I don't know.
So if ever you see a tiger, all you have to do is run for it with a very angry face, and you'll be fine.
No, that's probably not how you should
Just
do it at
headbutt
all.
Just headbutt the tiger,
Or you can punch it in the
you'll
nose like a
befriend it.
shark.
Exactly.
You shouldn't do any of these
Exactly.
things. Please don't
also,
confront
I've heard
tigers.
that if you turn a tiger upside down, it just freezes.
If you make it go backwards, it'll
If you
just
make it go-
die. It'll
yeah.
drown. Oh, wait.
Wait.
It'll drown if you stick its head in the
Oh yeah, tigers have
Right.
to swim all their lives, or
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, feisty goat still in charge in tiger's cage.
I love it.
All right.
Wow, cool.
Now, Anthony.
Okay, go for
Okay.
it.
So, so my tidbit is I found this out like a couple days ago. I was watching some show on TV. It was recently declassified. That we all know Ernest Hemingway, right? That famous writer.
Not personally.
Maybe not personally, of
That'd be
course.
pretty cool.
But we
I
all
ate
know.
dinner at his house.
Oh yeah. Oh, you went to
Stop
his
bragging.
house in
This is
Paris.
his copy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Hemingway, we all know towards the end of his life he started having he was paranoid, right? His kind of people were following him, and he would do like some weird stuff, like drive around town with his like headlights off because he's trying to evade people from following him. And his family thought he was nuts, and they put him into an insane asylum. And then afterwards, sometime, after he got out, he was still, a bit paranoid, and then he shot himself in the head. But it happens to be the same shotgun. I think Ariel told me this.
Mhm.
This part here, where it was the same shotgun that his grandfather.
His father and, I don't know, like
A
one or...
female relative.
I think it might have been his sister. Sister
Oh,
or
wow.
an aunt or something. Either way, it's several
Yeah.
other relatives.
Well,
So this was a family
Yeah,
tradition.
pretty much. Yeah,
Yes.
family tradition of killing each
So
other
sad.
after.
I've heard of better
certain,
ones.
Certain year, but anyways, yeah. After
Terribly sad.
yes,
It
it was very sad. But it turned out that he was partially right. That he was being followed, and also he was also claiming he believed his phone was being tapped.
So you're not really
Which it
paranoid
was.
if they're actually after you.
Kurt
Yes.
Cobain said that.
I know.
Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you.
Yeah. So he was right about someone tapping his phones, and then he was also right. Someone was looking through his mail. You know who these people were?
The American government.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
More specifically,
It was declassified that
Why were they going through it, Tony?
Well, it was declassified that they were listening to his phone calls and things because he was, the KGB recruited him as a spy to spy on the U.S. government.
Ernest Hemingway was
Are
a
you
member
serious?
of the KGB.
Yeah.
Ernest Hemingway was a communist spy?
Yep.
Yep.
Well, he did fight for the wrong side of the Spanish Civil War.
Ooh.
Yeah. He
Goes to show you.
Yeah, he was a communist spy, and they were listening to his phone calls and everything since he left Cuba, and even while he was in Cuba for a while, and even when he came back to the U.S. But then the KGB realized that he was a terrible spy, and he wasn't really,
So not
giving
only
them
was he
information.
Fired.
a member,
Pretty much, yeah.
he was a spy for the KGB, and he was bad at it, so they fired him.
Pretty much. He
The
was
KGB said, we're no longer going to be needing your services.
Yeah. So it's because of his, paranoia, and they found out he was a KGB spy and so forth. That he probably was so paranoid that because of what the government was doing, and no one was believing him. Maybe that's why he shot himself. It's crazy.
I would
Crazy
be
stuff.
I'd freak out a little bit too if I thought that the American government was on to my spy activity.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Especially during a time where, we weren't
I'm-
such good friends with them.
I'm starting
Yeah.
to feel bad about making such fun of Joseph McCarthy. I mean, if... yeah, I'm serious. he was crazy about saying that very prominent members of not only of Congress but of the cultural sphere in
American public,
America were communist spies. If Ernest Hemingway was a spy for the KGB, what the hell?
I know, it's just crazy. I just couldn't believe it myself.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap. And I text Adam immediately. I said, hey, dude, look, this is what happened. Whoa, Ernest Hemingway.
And then he showed us when we watched the thing talking about it after we watched the...
Yeah, after we watched
the debate.
Yeah.
All right, so...
Adam Kincaid, what is your coffee bean?
Did anybody else see that we might have a new planet?
Yes.
Yes.
With life?
Nice
Yeah.
planet.
Yeah, we think there might be another planet in our solar system just past Pluto.
I still count Pluto as a planet, so that planet's going to be 10th to me.
So,
Instead of 9.
yeah, so we scientists...
I don't have PBS, that's why.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Sorry, I should have...
It's okay.
Scientists at Caltech University believe that they found another planet just past Pluto.
Yeah, by seeing some movements from icy objects in the Kuiper Belt that were not explainable apart from some gravitational field affecting them.
There was 6 of them. There were 6 different objects that were all moving in a way that they shouldn't, all towards the exact same point in space. And how they described this is they said, imagine you have a clock, and this clock has 6 different hands on it that all move at their own pace independently, and you walk into your room and look at the clock for the first and only time ever, and all 6 hands are pointing at the exact same space.
Oh, wow.
That is extremely unlikely. So they think what they are all pointing at is something with a gravitational pull strong enough to pull them that direction. And what this would be a planet about 10 times the size of Earth.
They're calling it an icy planet. I don't know. It's just because it's so far away from the sun, it must be cold.
Yes.
Or if they're actually talking about its composition, I would very much
Hope
like
they
to
name
know.
it Hoth after Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, for now I saw someone call it Planet 9, and that's a stupid name.
Wasn't that like some sci-fi film, The Monsters of Planet 9? Is it on the 100 cheesiest movies here? Let's see.
That would be great.
But yeah, so this attempts to actually answer some questions, because they've been looking at other solar systems and mapping other planets in other places a lot these past few years. And the most common type of planet that they are finding everywhere in all of these solar systems, we don't have any of. There's not one of them in our solar system.
Wow.
So they thought we were an abnormal solar system because we're the only one they can find that doesn't have one of these planets. And this would be it.
Wow.
So now we are no longer a freak.
Whew, that's all this is. It's
Then we're going to be made
Earth
fun of
trying
in
to-
the locker rooms of all the solar systems.
Yeah. So that happened.
Oh, that's cool.
You have life, and you don't have a weird ninth planet thing.
9th planet.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You're crazy.
You're crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So, thank you for listening to us, everybody. Come again next week. As Ariel said, look us up on Facebook, like us, befriend us, leave a comment or 2.
Or email us. We have all sorts of ways for you to contact us, and
Call Alvaro's mom, say hi.
Don't do that. But certainly do show us love.
I love, but don't sex
okay,
us,
let's
please.
just.
All
In any
right.
case.
Everybody, have a good week.
Hasta luego.
So grab a cup of coffee.
And
and tune in.
yes.
Ha ha.